Good morning. Glad you could join us. I want to share some words that I picked up from Philip Yancey. How would you like the assignment of going to a college campus after there'd been a mass shooting and try to share something that would bring comfort and hope to the students, to the faculty? Well, that was exactly what happened with him. These are some words that he shared on the campus of Virginia Tech 2 weeks after the shootings. Then it was taken from Christianity Today back in 2007. It's entitled, "Where is God When It Hurts?" So what he said to them was, I wish I could tell you the pain's going to disappear, but it's not going to disappear. I wish I could tell you that your lives will go back to normal really soon, but they won't. Your lives will never really be the same because of what happened on April 16th, 2007. And I wish I could say to you that this is just going to pass, but instead, what he pointed them to was the pain that they felt. And they felt an incredible amount of pain. He, at that time, Yancey, had been in a car accident, and he still had a brace around his neck. And he said that as he laid strapped to a bodyboard for the first few hours, they wouldn't even give him any kind of pain medication, because they had to see if he had any sensation. And the good news was that he did. And every time they would poke and prod and say, "Can you feel that? Can you feel that?" The good news was that he could. It was a sign of life. It was a sign of connection. Each sensation gave proof that the spinal cord had not been severed. It was a proof of life, of connection, that the body was a whole. And what he spoke to that student body that day is that the reason you feel the pain that you do today is because you had a connection and you are connected to one another, and because you do love. The young man that went and he pulled the trigger felt no love, felt no connection, and that's how he was able to do that. But the Bible tells us that when the body suffers, when one person suffers, we all suffer. So I don't know what you're suffering through today, but that sign of pain is a sign of life. And most of the pain, psychologically, emotionally, that we feel is because we care. And that's because we're created in the image of a loving God. So before you despair too much, remember that it's a sign of true life. The challenge that he gave to those students that day was to trust a God who can redeem what now seems unredeemable. He pointed out the fact that 2 weeks ago they had commemorated the darkest day in all of human history. And I don't think anyone would argue with him if we understand the Christian faith. It was a day in which evil human beings violently and mercilessly rose up against God's own Son. They beat him, they mocked him, they spat upon him, and they murdered him. And he was the only truly innocent human being that had ever lived. And so what do we remember that day as? Dark Friday? Tragic Friday? Disaster Friday? No, we remember it as Good Friday. Why? Because that was the awful day that led to the salvation of the world. When 3 days later Jesus rose from the dead, it was redeemed. What are you going through today? In real time, you probably can't see that God could somehow turn this around. But like the story of Joseph, God doesn't weave evil, but he comes behind the evil and reweaves good. That was the story of Good Friday. It's why we call it good. May you find that kind of grace and redemption in your darkest points today, tomorrow, and in through eternity. God bless you. Have a great week.